I'm Tim Gordon with your weekly recap. We're going to be catching you up on some of the biggest stories of the week. That includes the manhunt for the person who shot 2 Portland police officers, plus the possible changes coming to Multnomah County's drug deflection program, and why Portland Public Schools is considering cutting hundreds of jobs. Our top story this week is the search for the person who Portland police say shot and hurt 2 officers. They released new images of the suspect on Thursday and announced a cash reward. Crime Stoppers is offering up to a $2,500 reward for information leading to an arrest in this case. The man is described as a white man in his mid-30s with facial hair. Before police got there, he allegedly threatened someone with a knife. A neighbor saw 2 officers talk for a bit and then stepped toward him. And for safety reasons, the neighbor asked us that we only use his voice.
I assumed they were going in to attempt to arrest him, and at that point, that pedestrian drew a gun with, extremely quickly. He clearly knew his way around weapons, and he fired off 4 to 5 shots.
And with 2 police officers down, the witness says the gunman sprinted away. He says officers on scene didn't return fire or chase the suspect. Instead, police say dozens of other officers, including the CERT team, responded. They set up a perimeter and began an hours-long search, but couldn't find that suspect. One of the 2 injured police officers was released from the hospital this week. As of Friday, the other is still being treated. And now to an update on the Border Patrol shooting in Southeast Portland earlier this month. The Department of Justice confirms 32-year-old Yorlenis Zambrano Contreras has pleaded guilty to illegally entering the U.S. in 2023. She was sentenced to 1 year of probation, and she must stay away from areas where prostitution may be occurring. It's not clear whether she will face expedited deportation. Meanwhile, the driver shot by Border Patrol agents earlier this month in Southeast Portland has been denied bail. On Wednesday, a federal judge ordered 33-year-old Luis Nino Moncada to remain in custody. Newly released documents show what happened from the driver's perspective. Catherine Cook has that update.
Bail denied. On Wednesday, a federal judge ordered 33-year-old Luis Nino Moncada to remain behind bars. He's charged with aggravated assault of a federal officer and depredation of federal property. He pleaded not guilty to both charges, stemming back to January 8th. Federal investigators say that afternoon, Nino Moncada weaponized his pickup truck during a targeted stop in Southeast Portland. Newly released court documents say at the time, Nino Moncada was taking his partner to a medical appointment. Federal prosecutors say Nino Moncada actually hit an agent with his truck in the parking lot of the clinic and repeatedly rammed an empty Border Patrol vehicle. Those documents also include photos of the damaged car. Prosecutors also accused Nino Moncada of driving directly at the agent again, saying that's when the agent fired the shots, hitting Nino Moncada and his partner. They drove off and called 911.
Caller saying that he was shot twice by ICE and his wife was shot as well.
Court documents also shared new insight from defense attorneys. They said the government has not shown that Nino Moncada meant to assault an officer versus just trying to escape. They added Nino Moncada was in, quote, abject terror when surrounded by 6 Border Patrol vehicles. They also said his only prior criminal charge was a DUI. Prosecutors say Nino Moncada entered the U.S. illegally in 2022, was arrested in Colorado the next year, and ordered to appear in a removal proceeding. But they say he failed to show up. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Revoke the permit!
A Portland City Council meeting was disrupted by protesters calling on the city to revoke the permit for the ice facility on the south waterfront. Security was asked to escort this person out, and the meeting was then moved online. Mayor Keith Wilson said that while he agrees public safety is undermined by the actions of federal agents, the city has to follow a process when it comes to land use approvals and cannot just unilaterally revoke the ice permit. Wilson reiterated that he did ask for a pause in all ICE activity in the city until the Border Patrol shooting could be investigated. Meanwhile, Gresham City Council has adopted an emergency declaration calling for federal immigration reform. The resolution passed Tuesday night directs funds to address food insecurity and to provide utility assistance to families. It also calls for a new community resource page on the city's website to help families impacted by the president's immigration policies. In other news, in Clark County, a jury has convicted a former Kamiswashugal Battalion chief of murder for killing his wife. Last March, police arrested Kevin West after they say he initially told investigators his wife Marcy was having a seizure and had stopped breathing. Prosecutors say West was having an affair and planned to end things with his wife or move out of their home by January 8th. That's the day she died. An autopsy showed Marcy died of asphyxia and blunt trauma to the neck. Her death was ruled a homicide. West will be sentenced next month. In Lincoln County, a bridge now needs to be inspected after a train derailed Wednesday morning. A spokesperson for Portland and Western Railroad tells us 3 of its locomotives came off the tracks while crossing a trestle. The good news, no crew members were hurt and the train wasn't carrying hazardous materials. The bridge itself, though, looks to have some serious damage. Well, developing this week, big changes could be coming to Multnomah County's deflection program. That's the option of treatment instead of jail for some people caught with small amounts of hard drugs. Blair Best has the update.
Tuesday morning, the latest work session on deflection.
Thank you, Commissioner Brennan.
Multnomah County commissioners talked of how to improve the program, one that struggles to help those suffering from addiction.
There are still some really big holes that make somebody's journey very, very difficult.
The county's deflection center opened in Portland's Central East Side in September 2024. It's a place officers take people caught with personal amounts of hard drugs instead of jail. County commissioners still weighing how to structure the program.
I really think that we are going to get to a place where we're going to get to some agreement about the direction that we want to go in.
In the first year, county data shows just over 600 people went to the deflection center. 92% were homeless. 392 people were referred to services, and just 20 went to detox.
With 92% of people going into deflection experiencing homelessness, those systems being disconnected is just setting people up for failure.
It wasn't like there were any goals of like, you need to serve X number of people in the first year, or it needs to look exactly like this. Like, this was a brand new thing for the entire state to do.
Changes commissioners are now proposing include same-day substance use disorder assessments, including increased access to detox, transportation to treatment services, and shelter for those in the deflection program, ongoing engagement with a care coordinator, and expanding who is eligible for deflection, including those with misdemeanor charges and outside referrals. The county spends $5 million taxpayer dollars per year to run the program.
We need to make sure that that money is being well spent, that it actually is resulting in better outcomes for the individuals who are going through deflection.
Commissioner Shannon Singleton among those looking to change the definition of deflection success. Right now, success is merely engaging in a referral within 30 days.
This board is interested in looking at how we can make success for the person so that they're actually able to enter into treatment.
The chair pointed out the state's Criminal Justice Commission must approve any program changes.
So that's a really critical step.
That group manages state money for Multnomah County deflection.
And these conversations take a little while because it's where we want to go, and then it's also like, what do we need then to implement then to make sure that they can become, an actual program that will function successfully.
Blair Best, KGW News.
Well, to mark the president's first year in office, some local groups gathered for demonstrations. Tuesday afternoon marked 1 year since President Trump took office for the second time. In Northwest Portland, hundreds protested what the administration's done since then.
I would like to see midterms change the game. I would like Trump to be removed from office before we end up in World War III. It's gone on way too far, and I'm terrified for my future.
Well, after the rally, demonstrators filed out of Couch Park and onto their next destination, about a mile away, right here to KGW. Demonstrators decried Trump's federal immigration policies and said they're fighting what they perceive as the normalization of the Trump administration's efforts.
I think they're trying to wear everybody down and trying to depress everybody. And if they can say, see, nobody, they're all with us. They don't care. We need to say we do care.
There are people who are willing to step up and to fight for our democracy. If we sit back, it is going to be destroyed.
Well, these marches were just some of the more than a dozen that took place across Oregon and Southwest Washington. Well, looking now at the growing field of candidates vying to be Oregon governor, Current Governor Tina Kotek has already said she plans to run again. But besides her, there are 17 other candidates, according to state filings. On the Republican side, State Senator Christine Drazen, who ran against Kotek back in 2022, losing by more than 65,000 votes. On Wednesday, Republican Representative Ed Deal announced his run for governor. Also announcing that day, David Medina from Sherwood. He pleaded not guilty to felony charges and several misdemeanors for allegedly breaching the U.S. Capitol and vandalizing the building, and was later pardoned by President Trump. Medina has a large presence on X with more than 80,000 followers and is lobbying his followers to back him in the Republican primary. In an X post, Medina says he is not splitting the vote because he would have to win the primary first. He adds his campaign has had a historic turnout for volunteers. Back in 2020, a probable cause document showed Medina tried to break signs above Representative Nancy Pelosi's office. Court documents also allege Medina was involved in an intrusion at the Oregon State Capitol back in 2020. A new budget proposal from Portland Public Schools is setting off alarm bells for some employees over the potential for some significant job reductions. We're talking potentially hundreds of positions that interact directly with students and blended classrooms being slashed. The proposal comes as Portland Public is trying to close a projected $50 million shortfall for the next school year. Our Celine Stevens has more.
The impact on students is they become anonymous.
Angela Bonilla is the president of the Portland Association of Teachers. She says she's furious about Portland Public Schools' preliminary recommendations to address their $50 million general fund shortfall for the 2026 to 2027 school year.
PPS and Portland voters spend a whole bunch of money in levies and bonds to support our schools, and we're still having to make these cuts.
According to the district, ongoing challenges in enrollment, rising costs, and loss of one-time funding has contributed to the shortfall.
This is a failure on the part of the legislature in funding us appropriately.
Those proposed reductions include making enrollment-based reductions to classrooms, counselors, and more, which could mean bigger class sizes and less resources for students. They also include combining different grades, increasing multilingual learning staffing model ratios, reducing coaches, and more, with their central office and elementary schools seeing the biggest cuts.
Let's say you come in as a student who gets identified as having special needs in kindergarten. For first grade, you're going to be in a class with first and second grade students and a teacher trying to figure out how to teach every student at their level. This is only going to create more of a deficit for our students.
According to the district, this will result in a reduction of 288 full-time equivalent positions.
If we're cutting 200 to 300 full-time equivalencies or FTEs, that's going to be more than 200 or 300 educators impacted in their work life. So even though it's not 300 educators fully laid off, it could be anywhere from 200 to 300 or more educators doing much less for our students overall.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
We got new information this week about the end of an era for a longtime fixture in the Portland area. Alpenrose Dairy says by April it will shut down its Clackamas plant and move out of state. And that will wrap up local operations for a company that's been in the Portland area for more than 100 years. In 2022, Alpenrose moved from Southwest Portland to Clackamas, and at that time the general manager told us this.
We want to be right here, still in the metro area, easy to serve our key customers, and remain a fixture in Portland for the long term.
In a statement, the company's current CEO blamed the butter market and a shift in the competitive landscape. As of April, all Alpenrose production and focusing on milk will now be run out of the Seattle area. Well, TriMet is now buying downtown Portland's Greyhound terminal. That's according to our news partners at the Portland Business Journal. The agency will spend about $12 million in federal funds and use the property, formerly a homeless shelter, to house buses. This comes as TriMet plans to slash 11 bus routes and reduce two dozen others because of budget woes. A TriMet spokesperson says these federal funds could not be used for normal operations or for maintenance. Well, this week, the nation recognized Martin Luther King Jr. Day. An MLK Day demonstration ended in arrests outside Portland's ICE facility. This was the scene around 7 p.m. on Monday. Demonstrators trespassed onto federal property there for a sit-in, holding photos of individuals who died in ICE custody or during ICE operations. About 10 minutes later, agents positioned behind the gates and fired pepper balls toward the crowd. Shortly after that, they opened the gates, used pepper spray on several demonstrators, and detained a few people as well. Well, some people also took the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday as a chance to celebrate what he stood for and help others. In Northeast Portland, volunteers with Solve came out to clean up local parks.
I think it's great to just have the opportunity to give back and show that we care about the communities that we're in, to give back in any way, shape, or form. And this is one way that we can, on a broad scale, show the community that we're here and we're here to stay.
And in Salem, a couple hundred people poured into the McKay High School gym to hear community leaders talk about coming together. They also marched on a peace walk to Salem First Free Methodist Church. In Fairview, volunteers for the Sunshine Division and Kaiser Permanente worked to give back to thousands of families in need. They gathered at Reynolds Middle School to hand out food pantry items and also made deliveries to people from Salem to Cornelius to Longview and Vancouver.
And we're known a lot for what we do around Thanksgiving and Christmas time, but hunger isn't seasonal. So to be able to do this here in January on Martin Luther King Jr. holiday is a huge thing because the need is so great.
And this is the 6th year of their efforts in honor of Dr. King. The Olympics will soon be underway, and now we learned not one but 2 local snowboarders will be heading to compete in Milan Cortina. Hood River, the home of now 2-time Olympian Sean Fitzsimons. The 25-year-old's first Olympic appearance was in Beijing in 2022. This year he's joined by another Oregonian, 17-year-old Alessandro Barbieri from Portland. Barbieri will be competing on the halfpipe with Fitzsimons on slopestyle. The two have known each other for years. They're friends. Sean's parents say they suggested to Alessandro's dad that he take up snowboarding after watching him at the skate park, which is the same way Sean started snowboarding. They say they are thrilled that Sean gets to compete for a second time.
Super excited for him. It's been a huge journey and a lot of ups and downs, some adversity that he's overcome, and just super stoked that he persevered and gets to do it again.
Yeah, Sean's parents say they're headed to Italy to watch in person. Snowboarding events start February 5th. And Portland native Jackie Wiles is making her return on the Alpine team. She's a 4-time Olympian with 4 World Cup podiums, including a 3rd-place finish in Austria just 2 weeks ago. And Wiles has had plenty of success on the course in Cortina with 4 top 10s and 2 podiums there. And there's one other Oregonian on the roster. There he is, Hunter Hess, locked up his spot on the free ski team thanks to a 2nd-place finish at an event in Aspen 2 weeks ago. Congrats to all 4 of them. We're going to be cheering you on for sure. And don't forget the lighting of the Olympic cauldron, the Parade of Nations. We're talking about the opening ceremony. It's always so cool. Live in Milan is Friday, February 6th, and you can watch it live right here, only on NBC and KGW. Well, Oregon is once again in the spotlight when it comes to the top culinary awards in the country. The semifinalists for the James Beard Awards include Le Pigeon for Outstanding Restaurant, Scotch Lodge for Outstanding Bar, and Coquine for Wine or Beverage Program. When it comes to Best Chef in the Northwest and Pacific, 7 Oregon chefs received nominations. So big congratulations to all the nominees. Now here's your weather.
Happy Friday from Portland, and we are sunny this morning. Beautiful day coming up. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. I want to show you Timberline. We're showing off more blue sky than the mountain, but the main thing I wanted to point out was the temperature. It's 28 degrees. This is at 6,000 feet. You're thinking, yeah, that sounds like not a bad morning, and you would be correct. But here's the deal. It's been about a week since Timberline's ever gotten below freezing. So the fact that it's 28, colder up at the lodge than it is in Portland this morning, means that the temperature inversion pattern is over. And that means that we have a reasonable chance to clear out areas like the Dalles, like Pendleton, like down into Bend, where it's been cloudy day after day after day. Our live cameras are showing off the clearing. We had clouds last night, so we didn't get as cold as what we have been seeing. And now with the early morning and rapid clearing, the stage is set for just a lovely Friday. Again, that's Seaside up along our north coast. There's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club in Aloha. And notice there's no frost on the grass. Again, that's because we had cloud cover all the way into the 6 o'clock hour here. So about the time it cleared, we started to get some warming from the early morning sun. The Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club out in Aloha, beautiful in downtown Portland, showing off the same. We stayed in the mid-30s this morning, so we've been above freezing as well. The weather map for today, check it out. Everybody's got sunshine, we think. Now, it's still cloudy this morning in Pendleton, still cloudy in the Dalles, back into beautiful Hood River, back down into Madras, and I think down into Bend. So clearing in these areas will be on the gradual side of things, but I really think at the very least your odds of seeing twinkling stars tonight is very high as the temperature inversion is gone and you should start clearing out. The only reason it's going to be a struggle is there's not much wind. We'll be back up into the low 50s today at the coast. We did, by the way, here in Portland, have a trace of precip yesterday, so that ended that bid for a record-tying 13 days, which would have been tomorrow, not even a drop of moisture. Again, we had a trace of rain yesterday, so that dry consecutive run actually ended at 10 days. And we do have a dry weekend upcoming, but we could have a trace of rain again on Monday. So here's a 7-day forecast. We have warming shelters open and alerts for cold weather again overnight tonight into Saturday morning and again overnight into Sunday morning. I've got Portland at 25 and parts of the Willamette Valley could actually dip tomorrow morning into the upper teens. So this is still really cold air at night. I've got 46 each day. Saturday's going to be clear. Sunday we'll see increasing cloud cover. Monday is the day it looks a lot like yesterday. Clouds sweeping through. Either no rain or some traces or very limited rainfall. I think odds favor us dry to traceable rain amounts. And then Tuesday, we're back to 52. Now, Tuesday's interesting because notice the lows. I've got Monday at 33 because there's cloud cover coming in. But Tuesday kicks off an absolute back to normal pattern for us. Means the really cold nights will be gone. We'll be looking at some highs up around 50. We have rain chances developing Wednesday into Thursday. And right now that could be several days into the weekend of possible rain again. Now, unfortunately, the early look at that is that snow levels will be 5,000 feet, maybe even a little bit warmer, which would not produce that much snow up in the mountains. But we'll keep you updated on that. Have a good weekend. Again, here in Portland, we're still dealing with a lot of sunshine.
And that is a wrap on your weekly recap. I'm Tim Gordon. And don't forget, you can catch up on the latest headlines anytime on KGW.com, your KGW app, or our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.